Welcome to the Vol Report, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. Cityheatandair.com is where you need to go. He is Cooper Mays. I am Dave Hooker. And Coop, let's go ahead and start it off with a congratulations. What a way to end the season. You beat a team, it's ranked in the top 10. You beat a team that many thought could win a national title this year, and you beat them thoroughly. Kudos.
Yes, sir. Thank you. No doubt. Big year. Big year. Good way to end it.
Very, very, very big year. And did you have that type of feeling leading into the game that everybody was dialed in? Because I've said before, with bowl games, it can be so tough to tell if a team's dialed in or if they'd rather be somewhere else. But did you get that feeling during game week in Miami that you guys were dialed in and ready to go?
I thought so. I think our preparation was a lot better than last year. And, like you said, it's kind of hard. I didn't know we were going to go out there and, beat them so thoroughly like we did. But, it ended up that way. And, yeah, happy for my guys for sure.
I mean, you also in the offensive line, I thought played really well against a front, and I know they had an opt out or two, but against a front that was considered one of the best in the nation. When you look at how you guys played, I don't know if you've looked back or you just want to recall memories from the game, but what did you think of the offensive front in particular?
I was just proud of the way we adjusted. They ran probably 3 or 4 different defenses during the game. And they're a really smart group, and they present a lot of challenges based off their intelligence because they can run so many different defenses, and you never know really which one you're going to get when you run out there. So I was just proud of the way we handled all the different working parts and kind of figuring it out on the run.
Were they as multiple as anybody you'd played this season?
Yes, definitely the most versatile defense. They ran a different defense every single week, so we kind of went into the game not really knowing what they were going to run. So it was kind of like a kind of just a guess. We kind of prepared for anything and just kind of figured out just we were going to figure it out whenever we ran out there and the ball was put down. So they ran 3 different defenses though throughout the game.
So they never settled into kind of one style. They kept changing it up.
They ran traditional 3 down and 4 down with 4 big D linemen, and then I think kind of they stopped us on a 3 and out. We've scored 14 points, kind of pretty easy, and then they got a 3 and out with their 3-3 star, so it would be like 3 big D linemen and then 3 backers and then the rest DB bodies. That was kind of what they settled into for the duration, really the remainder of the game, probably the last 3 quarters. But we found a way to kind of make it work, and it was working at first against us, but we found a way to, get the pressures right and figure out how to beat it.
Yeah, and I know this goes downfield a little bit, and it's not exactly where you are, but it seemed like early, maybe even the first 3 quarters, that they wanted to do everything they could not to get beat deep. Do you think that was part of the plan?
That's usually everybody's plan. They they try to use different ways to stop it, but it's usually kind of inevitable. Like it's gonna one of those big passes is gonna hit the mark, and it's gonna be a touchdown. So everybody's probably trying to fight the big plays, but it's just kind of the difference of approaches while doing it.
Well, I know you personally said that you really like Joe Milton, and I want to talk about him because I thought he was just fantastic. And I remind you that Cooper's weekly appearance brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. It's the Vol Report. When it comes to City, you know that integrity matters, and it's going to be that time when the temperature gets warmer and some HVAC units are going to fail. Well, do they fail completely or do they just need some service? You know, City Heating and Air, they'll do you right and they'll do you fair, and you'll know whether or not you need a new unit or just service. But man, Joe Milton was on point, especially I thought on the intermediate routes. He just really whizzed some balls in there in a tight window. What'd you think of his performance?
I was just really proud of the way he found his confidence and rhythm. I think that's probably the biggest thing. If Joe's confident and knows where he's going to go with the ball, then I think there's very little people that can defend it because if he knows where to put the ball, he can get it there faster than anybody else can.
Yeah, and at one point he had said that, or before the game, and you probably haven't seen this, but Josh Heupel said in the pregame interview, he just said, "Oh, Joe's going to be fine." When that was the storyline that every media person had, but the way he said it was just like "Oh, the sun's going to come up tomorrow." Was that confidence pervasive throughout the team? Because it didn't seem like any big deal to Josh Heupel that Joe was going to play well.
I think we all have a lot of confidence in Joe, and I think Joe has a lot more confidence in himself this year. So, when you see somebody that is in the leadership spot and that is in the quarterback spot, if they've got confidence kind of oozing out, then everybody else is going to follow with them. So, I think everybody was confident in Joe and kind of has seen the progress that he's made this year. So there's no question that you need to be confident about him.
Okay, you say he has more confidence this year, yet he lost the starting job last year. So why would he have more confidence this year after losing the job in 2021?
Just another year in the system, I think, has been really big for Joe. And then, finding a way to make the best out of the situation that he was put into. I think anybody that kind of faces that with the right mentality has no choice but to get better. So he just took the reins kind of where him left off, and I think he felt really comfortable in that role. And I'm not sure, I can't really speak for him about what made him feel that confident. But I've seen a lot of strides of development in Joe, and I think that's kind of led over into his performances later in the year this year.
Well, it was really impressive, especially I thought it was really cool for him to being close to home and having that sort of support. I can't imagine what it would do for somebody's confidence headed into a season in which you are expected to be the starter. It's got to help.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's gonna be a really good year for him, and I'm excited to kind of see where he goes with it for sure.
Now, we were all curious with a couple of opt outs at receiver who would step up, and Squirrel White was, well, a lot of people were the guy. I mean, Ramel Keaton played great. Rue McCoy had some great catches, but uh, it's just really exciting to think what Squirrel White can be over the next couple of years. What did you think of his preparation and performance?
Yeah, I really love Squirrel. He's just like a really funny guy. Like, it's really hard to explain, but I tell people all the time in the locker room, you don't see a lot of people like play into their smallness. A lot of people like resent their smallness, like they want to be big, and they talk about, if I was this tall, I'd be this. You know what I'm saying? So he's not like that. He's Squirrel, and he kind of just plays into that role of being small, and he kind of just runs with it, and he runs pretty fast too. So that helps him out a lot. I'm really, excited to see the strides he takes this offseason, and really proud of what he's done this year. It's really hard to come in as a freshman that, is 18, 19 years old, and you're playing grown men out there. So to see a freshman thrive, it's very rare and, exciting.
What do you mean by he's funny? Does he tell jokes? Because at press conferences he's pretty buttoned up, but a lot of freshmen are.
Right.
So what is he entertaining around the team? What's he like?
Yeah, he's funny, joke wise. He's entertaining, but he always he's kind of like somebody that, if all the big guys on the team, he always is messing with them. Like, he'll run up behind him and smack him in the neck and run off, and nobody will be able to catch him. I don't know how to explain it. He just like plays into his smallness. He's like the little brother on the team that is just kind of a demon, and then the older brother is kind of there just kind of dealing with it, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's so hard to explain, but he just plays into his like personality and everything so well.
He just has to make sure he doesn't get caught.
Oh, he won't. No doubt about that.
Where does You've been around some fast and quick players. Where does he rank among quickness?
Quickness, I mean, I don't think you'll find a person quicker than Squirrel. I don't know about the top end speed. We got a lot of really fast guys. Jalen Hyatt, he runs. He's probably not as quick as Squirrel, but his top end speed is crazy. So that's probably different. I'd say he's kind of more like Valus, if that makes sense. Valus is a lot more. not as probably much as like a top end like fluid speed, but like his short area quickness is very very rare. So I'd probably put Squirrel in that kind of same category.
Yeah, you've seen players develop. So Velas had an off season to get ready for this offense, and Jalen Hyatt had more time, but admitted that his first off season wasn't his greatest under Heupel. So now you have a guy with Squirrel White that's going to have a couple of off seasons to really excel in that slot position. How good can he be there?
The sky's the limit for him. I'm not going to sit here and act like, I know a lot about receivers and the slot position, but he's a guy that's really fast and can catch the ball really well and makes people miss. So those three things put together makes a really good slot in my opinion. So I'm excited to see. I'll never put limits on Squirrel because he kind of proves them wrong every time. So that's that.
I've covered a couple of Orange Bowls. Uh, yeah, of quite a few. And I knew that you guys would have a great time because they do a good job of putting together non-football events. And we saw some of that. What was your favorite non-football event of the week headed up to the Orange Bowl?
Definitely just going to the beach and being with the guys. Anytime you get out of a place where it's snowing and about 10, 15 degrees when you leave, and then you go down to Miami, it's probably going to be the your favorite attraction of the week. So I really enjoy being at the beach. I needed a beach trip, so maybe I'll get one that's a little bit more extended and probably a little bit more stress free. Will be good.
How much does that help this team bonding wise? Because I'm not going to take anything away from other bowls, but other bowls can be like an extended road trip. They can be 4 days. This one's like a week. How much can that help in the bonding aspect?
I think it helps a lot. We're all pretty tight and pretty close, so it didn't really probably do anything monumental for us. But anytime you have opportunities to be around your teammates and strictly be around your teammates and not worried about football, you're always going to grow.
As far as team chemistry, you guys had incredible team chemistry this season. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But how much of that, because coaches want to say good or bad, that a different year's team is a different year's team, but how much of that can you carry over from one year to another? Good or bad? In this case, very, very good. But good or bad, how much of that can carry that mindset from one year to the next?
It really depends on the leadership in the team. The leadership's got to step up and create that kind of atmosphere in the locker room and kind of create that atmosphere in workouts and everything. And you really bond. I think the biggest time you bond is in the off season. Really, when you're struggling to make it through workouts and stuff, and y'all are out there on the field dying, trying to just survive. I think that's when your bonds are made. So suffering together with people brings them together. So we'll see.
Yeah, there's something about the well of sorrow leads to success.
There
I
you
think
go.
is one of my favorites. I think of that when I'm trying to be maybe 1/10 as strong as you sometimes in the gym is my, with my whole butt's bouncing around. But you had said you decided to come back. You would have gotten drafted. There's no question. But you said you wanted to come back in part to be a leader. Has that a more vocal leader? Has that in part already started, Coop, or does that start soon in the off season, or how does that transition take place?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll start in workouts. We're relaxing right now, enjoying our families. Everybody's at home, so no leadership will be done for me. I'm a big rest guy right now, so we'll pick up later on when we're back in workouts.
Nice. I like that. So there is you guys had a fantastic season, and kudos for that. And something might pop up in my mind before we're done to ask you about the season again. But there was one serious issue I wanted to ask you about that happened on Monday Night Football with Damar Hamlin. It's now been released that he suffered a cardiac arrest. We didn't know what it was. The game was indefinitely suspended. And I'm curious, as a football player, a guy that goes out there and battles, when you saw that happen, what went through your mind?
Just really, It's hard to explain, you know, it's you don't really go out there. We kinda popularize, like, stuff like you're going to war, you're putting your life on the line, and, you know, you say it, but you don't really you know, you don't really mean it, I guess, to a certain degree. Like, you never go out there, like, thinking that that's actually a possibility, and kinda, or I don't, at least, I don't really, you know, ever put that in my mind at all, but, you know, that stuff's real and it can happen anytime, but it usually doesn't happen on such a big scale. You know, I think there's only been one person, you know, like, come close to dying on the NFL field, and it was, like, in 1971 when I looked it up last night. So, stuff like that doesn't very happen very much on the NFL scale. So, just kinda seeing that, and, you know, looking at all the players being vulnerable out there, it kinda shows you, you know, where priorities are. You know, I think the NFL gave them, like, 5 minutes to warm up and go back to playing, and everybody was kinda like, "Just no." I think, you know, it shows where, at the end of the day, there's so much, you know, more important stuff in life than just, you know, the game, and, you know, that hour long, you know, event. You know, it's very sad. I hope he recovers and everything, but it just shows you that, you know, there's more important stuff in life than this game.
For every game minute, there's countless practice minutes. And way back in the day, practice used to be open. And I've seen some scary moments. Not quite that bad, but I've seen some scary moments where the ambulance was called in a practice. And I don't want any names or anything like that. But have you ever been around a moment like that in football where you're like, "Oh, man, football's secondary. Let's just make sure this guy's okay."
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been around, you know, some pretty bad injuries and stuff, but that's more than an injury. You know what I'm saying? It's usually, you know, injuries you can, you know, look at it and be like, "Oh, you're out, you know, 5 months, and, you know, you'll be up walking again," or whatever. This was a whole different ordeal. This wasn't really an injury, I guess, per se. I guess it was, if you want to consider it that, but, you know, this wasn't like tearing your ACL or breaking your arm. You know what I'm saying? This is somebody's life we're dealing with. So no, I've never been a part of something like that. And, you know, hopefully I never will.
Yeah, there's a big difference between looking at an ankle that's in bad shape and when you start talking about head, neck, and in this particular case, internal organs. I mean, there's a way big difference, but I do think as a society we just kind of take that for granted sometimes, and that everybody's going to be okay every single game. So I just think it lends credence to what you do and what your teammates do. So that's not it shouldn't be forgotten, but I think it sometimes it is. Coop is the best way I would put it.
Yeah, no doubt. I think a lot of people don't realize it because, you know, we're just players out there in a jersey, and not anybody's fault. I mean, we're football players probably look at, like, people that rap, like the rap stars of current today's, you know, it's like they're untouchable. It's like they're, like, you know, on a whole different realm of us. It's not like they're real people, but, you know, at the end of the day, we're you know, we're all the same, all cut from the same cloth. We all bleed just like, you know, everybody else bleeds, and, you know, we hurt like everybody else does. So it kind of just puts stuff into perspective for you.
It did. But it was scary. So when you pray that Tennessee's going to beat Alabama, also pray for the safety of the players. I would say that, and I would start with that as well. He's Cooper Mays. I'm Dave Hooker. The Vol Report brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. And this has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.